Hi, I'm Randy MacLean, the president of Waypoint Analytics. I'm my friend Brent Grover from Evergreen Consulting. Brent and I have done a lot of work in various accounts, sometimes together, mostly apart, because we have big areas of the market that we serve. And we've been having some discussions today about what's changing in the market, what kinds of things that we see. We've been sharing some information with each other. I've been learning a great deal about the kinds of things that Brent has been seeing, and as the market's changing more rapidly than ever. And one of the items that is a particular note is that the demographics of the market are changing. The people that work in our customer accounts, in our own businesses are changing. And we're experiencing now one of the biggest demographic shifts that we've seen. The boomers are retiring, and as they're starting to leave, the millennials are coming on.
Right.
And the millennials are coming on, and the millennials are, they've been raised in a different kind of environment. They have different attitudes, different ways of doing things.
Don't forget those Gen Xers.
And the Gen Xers are
coming. Born between 60 and 80. Those, they're out there somewhere.
Yeah, the Gen Xers are kind of sandwiched between the boomers and the millennials. But there's a lot of change in attitudes and the way people work and how they're motivated. Yeah. And I think we need to be cognizant of that if we want to be successful going in the future. If we're, we always play, they say generals are always fighting the last war. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's a natural human tendency. We go to our own experiences, we project our own thoughts and whatnot on the environment that exists, and we get that confirmation bias telling us that we're right when that's not always true. So what are you seeing about the millennials?
Well, I wanted to allude to something that a question might have been asked 10 years ago. This is 2016, so in 2006, if we asked a distributor, what is the median age of your sales force? I mean, if we made a list from the oldest to the youngest, what would the age be halfway down the list? Mm-hmm. And that number in the 2000s.
It would have been in the 40s, maybe high 40s.
Maybe even the middle 40s, maybe 43, 44, okay?
Yeah.
And today, 10 years later, what do you think that might be?
Oh, it's 10 more years.
Yeah, at 10. That's the problem. Exactly. It's 54.
Yeah, and in fact, one of the associations that we do work with has just come back with their own survey, and their average age is 58.
Right. And whether you do averages or median, you will see a difference there, of course.
Yeah.
But the problem is that over particularly the 2008 to 2011 period or 12, where there was this big economic recession for most distributors, they didn't do any hiring during that time.
Right.
And nobody left. I mean, there was no place to get another job. So they have the same people. Yeah. They're just 10 years older.
Right.
Now, do you think that's also going on at the customers?
Oh, no. Oh, no. We can see right now that we know that by 2020, more than half of the workforce in our customer accounts is going to be the millennial generation, more than half. And we're already seeing quite a number of companies where the millennials are hitting the executive suite. In some cases are the owners and the senior executives of our accounts. And that terrifies me because they communicate in a different way, they think in a different way, and frankly, if we don't do a good job of staying connected, we're going to wind up having to sell our own way back into our own accounts.
And just running some numbers here, if our median age of our sales force is around 54, that means that half of our sales force was born before 1960.
Right.
And we know all the anecdotes, they grew up with black and white television, and they had telephones with rotary dials and all that stuff. And some of us, present company not accepted, have adapted pretty well. My kids are always reminding me that they're sort of impressed about what I can do with a computer, although I can't do what they can do. Right. The fact is, though, that the customers have different ways of doing things than the salespeople do in this distribution context. The challenge, and I think the pain point for distributors is, where are they going to go to hire millennials who want to be sales professionals in the distribution industry?
Yeah, and they're having a great deal of difficulty because the nature of the job is so much different. the nature of the job that we have is so much different from the nature of the job that they want. The millennials are growing up, they're technologically adept, they work collaboratively in teams, they have a different kind of an attitude to what they value. They don't tend to be as money driven. They want to do social good and those kinds of things because that's the environment they came from. And we're talking about them going into a job where it's a lone wolf operator, there's no teamwork, they do everything themselves, or kind of independent. It's not a good fit, and that's one of the reasons why companies are having such a difficult time hiring.
I agree, and I think what used to attract some of the best and brightest into this field is there was this unlimited income opportunity.
Right.
And people would expect to go to work at a company, build up a territory, whether it's selling for a distributor or selling stocks and bonds or insurance, whatever. You build up a portfolio of business, and it's an annuity that keeps paying back commissions for for your career. So you build up with a company, you build up a portfolio. You don't want to leave because you have something very valuable. Most of the millennials I talk to don't have any intention of staying with the same company for their whole career.
Right, right. That's
and
certainly
also they have a spouse who works, whether it's male or female.
Yeah.
And they're not just going to do whatever their company says. Move over here, move over there. Not anymore.
No, that's a big deal. Another thing that I've noticed, and maybe you have as well, but I'm getting increasingly sensitive to an environment where somebody in my age bracket says, well, I'm not good at computers, you can't not be good at computers if you want to deal with a computer-savvy customer.
It's like saying, I don't know how to read and write.
Yeah, exactly. Or saying, well, I'm not really good at being friendly, so just, pardon me for not being. You can't do that. That's just not acceptable. And yet, it's sort of like it's a throwaway excuse for not having to get with it to be able to communicate effectively with the people you're trying to sell with.
So to be successful in distribution sales, and it's always been true, a good balance of EQ and IQ.
Right.
So we have to find these folks, and as most distributors are reluctant to hire people right out of school because the success rate, isn't high enough. They want to. I hear this time and time again. We don't hire people right out of school. We hire people who've had 2 or 3 jobs, and by then they're more mature and they know what they want. With a success hiring rate of less than 50%. And the cost of bringing a new salesperson on board, including the compensation they generate before their territory is profitable, as Waypoint with NBC would determine that.
Right. Yep.
Would you go to a casino and put down $150,000 to $200,000 bet when you had less than a 50% chance of winning? And winning is defined by this person being a productive person with your company 5 years after you hire them.
Well, that's a good point. But the thing that crosses my mind is the fear of doing this causing them to take the actions that is causing the poor result? Because I know this, IBM had nearly a policy of hiring people straight out of school. Yeah. And their logic behind that was that it's always hardest to quit your first job. And they don't have to break any bad habits. They get to mold the person into what they need on the job. And they had a stellar success rate. And then we have somebody comes along and says, well, I'm not going to hire new people because it might not work, so I'll wait until they have a bunch of bad habits, have a checkered history of changing jobs, and I'll try and catch them then. And then somehow magically they'll be the people that will stay for life and will know their stuff, and without me having to do an awful lot of training, they'll somehow figure it out and do the right thing. That just seems like a silly plan.
I think IBM's, and I don't know much about IBM and how they're hiring now, but I don't imagine they're still doing it that way, because people seem to get a job no matter where they start. 18 months later, they got to try something else.
Maybe.
Because they don't marry the first person they date either. They want to experience the world before they decide which career they want to pursue.
Well, the bottom line for me is that all the salesmen that we have right now are going to be retired 5 years from now. And
maybe they already have. They're still in the
and haven't told the company. But if they don't, if companies don't find a way to bring the people in, to build the environment where they can bring in people to the environment where they're suited and they're going to stay and be productive, and they don't bring in people that can communicate effectively with the buyers on the other side, they're going to have a very, very difficult road in the next 5 years.
I think they may have to change up the model.
Yes.
Because I was in wholesale distribution, as you know, for 20 years, and one of the things we did at our company is we hired people who worked for our suppliers, because our suppliers were abusive employers, and they would make people move every 3 years, whether they wanted to or not. We could offer them the chance to stay in one place. So we did very well with that. We also hired a bunch of teachers, because teaching was not a good career path then. Teachers can be very good salespeople, but teachers have a better career path today, so that's not quite so easy. So the other thing that people do and have done is the poor man's acquisition. They hire a sales rep from a competitor who's going to bring her or his business over the fence,
hopefully,
to us. But frankly, that usually doesn't work. And even if it did, most companies these days have some version of a non-competition agreement, and you really can't do it. So we're going to have to change the model, is what I'm saying. We're going to have to change the model.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that that requires some more thinking, some more ideas. And people are going to have to get through that first step. And I think the first step is recognizing that the world has changed. And the models that we have from the past are not going to they're not serving us well now, and they're not going to serve us well in the future.
So we can't keep fighting the last war, as you said?
Exactly.
Right, okay.
So at any rate, I think that that's something that I'll be thinking about going forward. I hope you will as well. Perhaps there's something in what we've said that will resonate with you and give you some ideas of things that you might like to do going forward that will give your business a better chance at success and put you in a much better position 2 years from now than it is today in terms of having an effective, productive, and happy workforce, and in particular a productive, happy, and successful sales force. So Brent, thank you very much for the time on that. That was a great discussion. I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to talking to you some more, and I hope we'll see you in future videos.